You're listening to Blu Moves, your home for all things real estate. Presented by Blu Realty.
Hey guys, this is John Darden with Blu Realty, and this is Blu Moves, episode 3. All things real estate, buyers, sellers, residential, commercial, investment, multifamily, you name it, we will chat about it. Today we're going to talk about what is on every homeowner's mind. What's my home worth? It's that $1 million question, which there aren't too many $1 million homes here in Lubbock. But that's beside the point. Today's questions that we're going to be talking about. What is market value? What does that elusive term mean? How do I know what my home is worth? How do you determine what we're going to sell my home for? How do you come up with that number? What drives a high sales price? What things make my home more valuable? What things don't make my home more valuable? So on and so forth. Today we're joined by the one and only Josh Bailey, easily the most mysterious person in our office. If you watch any of our Instagram lives or any of our stories, Josh is he's a mysterious guy. He's hard to pin down. You don't really know. I'm still trying to figure him out, which I think is a good thing. I like a little mystery in my life. But for the record, Josh, who are you?
Boy.
Oh, boy. You are a boy.
Yes.
Okay, step one.
Yeah, step one. Husband. Father. Realtor.
You a Faja.
I'm a Faja.
Faja.
Yes. Like to have fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Long walks on the beach?
Long walks on the beach. Slow music. Fast music.
Okay. So this is where we get into the mystery. You like country? You like rap?
Yeah. Little rock.
You used to have long hair.
Yeah.
You had a scraggly beard. You looked like the definition of a hipster. But you get to know Josh, and I don't think that's who he is. That may be who you are.
I don't know.
I mean, you even have that smile that's like, I'm purposefully trying to deceive you.
No.
I don't know. Whatever. Josh is a mysterious guy, and he makes it fun around here in the office. Quick-witted. I didn't say dim-witted. I said quick-witted.
Slow talking. Quick-witted.
Slow talking. Although he's got a good phone voice. If you ever talk to Josh on the phone, he's got a real deep voice. But then if you talk to him on the phone, it's, hey, this is Josh Bailey. How are you? And then as the conversation goes on, his voice gets back to
this.
That right there. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we wasted enough time.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Okay, Josh, talking about pricing a home today. It's spring. The market is heating up as the weather is heating up. There's always a correlation between the weather and what the market is doing. Home values are on the rise, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Buyers are out.
Yep.
Homes are popping up on the market.
Yep.
So, question number 1. What is this elusive term that homeowners hear realtors talk about and you watch on HGTV or DIY Network or whatever? What is market value?
Well, market value is simply what a buyer is willing to pay. Go into that a little bit more. The highest reasonable price within a reasonable time period.
Reasonable price at a reasonable time period that a buyer is willing to pay.
Yeah.
What would you deem a reasonable amount of time?
Well, I mean, looking at the market here in town, average days on the market is around 75, 80 days. So sometime within there, and that's 30 days from a contract to closing. So take that off, and you're looking at about another 35 to 40 days before a contract.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
Okay. So that's a reasonable amount of time. So market value would be, here's a home. How high of a price can we drive where people are still willing to pay it?
Right.
What all factors into that? That's a super wide open question. I guess actually, let me put it this way. One of the questions that we get from a lot of people is, what about the years spent in this home for me? Like, there's a lot of emotional value attached to all homes in general. Like, I raised my kids here.
Sentimental value.
Ton of sentimental value in homes. What role does that play in market value? Because people always want to know that question.
unfortunately, it doesn't really play any part in the market value from a buyer's perspective. Now, yeah, you lived there. It's your home. You're selling. You loved it. It's going to play a huge part, and that might make it a little tougher whenever you might have a big number in mind because of all the memories there. But as far as market goes, it's not going to make a difference.
So I think one of the things that we tell people a lot, and one of the things that homeowners need to hear, is that unfortunately the market doesn't care about your experiences in the home.
Yeah.
And it's a tough reality for a lot of people. A lot of times is just the reality that the market doesn't care. Yes, there's a ton of value in the home from the memories that you've made, like you just mentioned, but from a market standpoint, people don't care. They're not buying your memory, they're buying the home.
Yeah.
Which is a tough reality and a harsh reality, and we don't want to just blow over that, but because there is value in there.
Sure.
But there's no monetary market value.
Yeah.
We start with that because that's something that gets brought up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a bow on it. One sentence. You've kind of already done it, but just say it again. For the viewership that has a hard time understanding things the first time around, like myself, market value is defined as
the maximum amount a buyer is willing to pay within a reasonable time.
So how do we determine that then? How do we determine what market value is?
We'll determine that based on looking at comparable homes in that same area, determining what buyers have previously paid within the last 6 months to a year.
Okay, what else? So in the same neighborhood?
Yeah, same neighborhood. Homes that are similar in size, similar in upgrades, any type of features that home has.
Such as,
if it's upgraded, you got the granite countertops, good flooring, vinyl floor, hardwood floors.
good layout,
know,
updated appliances,
all that sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Modern paint colors, whatever that.
No wallpaper.
Which, oddly enough, in some parts of the country, wallpaper is coming back, which just blows my mind away. But that's what happens. Everything that's old becomes new again. We'll talk about that kind of stuff in a different podcast. But okay, so same neighborhood, roughly the same size.
Yeah, usually we'll look at homes 200 square feet below to 200 square feet above, and sometimes you can increase that to about a 20% difference in smaller to larger there. That's probably closer to what an appraiser is going to do when he looks at the home.
Okay. Same neighborhood, same size, same features, same number of bedrooms, bathrooms, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, preferably.
So we try to get it as close to your home as possible.
Yeah.
Other solds.
Yeah, try to match them up. Find one that's as close to yours as possible.
And then what do we do? So here are 4 homes that are a lot like mine. Now what?
Well, we'll look at probably the price per square foot. It's the easiest way for us to break it down, see what that is. And, if they're all similar homes, there should be a pretty close correlation in that price. And we know that, yours should be priced somewhere in this range here. Depending on if yours is maybe a little nicer or not quite as nice, we can adjust up or down there to find a number.
And you mentioned range and adjusting up and down. I think one of the things that's important for people to understand as well is there's not one specific number your home is going to sell for.
Yeah. So, you can always, if you want to get top dollar and price it a little on the higher end, it may sit there a little longer.
Risk time.
But if you're willing to wait that time to get maybe a couple $1,000 more bucks out of it, or you need to get out of it quick, moving out of town for a job, whatever the case may be, you can always price it a little lower, still competitive, but on the lower end of the range there, and move it quicker.
Right. So time versus money.
Sure.
What's more important to you? Do you need to sell the home quickly? We probably need to price it on the lower end of the range, as you say. And if we want to try to get as much money out of it as possible, then it may take a little bit longer, depending on the neighborhood and all that fun stuff. So would you say, true or false, pricing a home is not a science, but it's an art?
Absolutely.
Because
there's so many variables, and there's not always a great comp for your home, so you got to do a little artistic touch.
Yeah, get kind of creative on it.
Yeah.
So if you live out in the country, that's a harder comp because
Yeah.
there aren't typically as many homes. Whereas if you live in Melanie Park, that's pretty easy because there are tons of homes that sell in Melanie Park.
Yeah.
Or Quincy Park, or really first-time home buyer neighborhoods are fairly simple.
Yeah.
Your new construction stuff as well. I mean, most of those homes all sell for pretty close to the same price.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some neighborhoods that are harder to comp out, as Josh has mentioned. Okay, so determining market value is a range based on a variety of factors that has nothing to do with emotional value or what a homeowner thinks their home should sell for.
Yeah.
And it's not a number that Josh comes up with. It's a number that the market is directing us towards. I mean, it's always a tricky conversation with homeowners of the value of a home because it's not what we think the home is going to sell for. It's what the comparable homes are showing us.
Yeah.
But then we also have to convince a buyer that it's worthy of that price.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we have to convince an appraiser that it's worthy of that price. So there are a ton of variables that factor in. What are some of the things in a home that actually add value to the home? What are some upgrades, some updates that people can do that increase the market value of a person's home?
Yeah, so a lot of things you see them doing on TV shows, granite countertops, hardwood floors, even vinyl flooring, upgraded or newer fixtures, light fixtures, faucets, sinks, that sort of stuff. The big ones, kitchen and bathrooms. Everybody wants an upgraded kitchen or bathroom for the most part. Better paint colors, more modern paint colors.
Okay.
Trending.
Good curb appeal.
Yeah, good landscaping out front.
Cute
curb
front,
appeal.
cute backyard. So those things actually increase the value to a certain point.
Sure.
Obviously, you don't ever want to run the risk of putting too much money into a home.
Yeah, at some point you're not going to get everything back that you put into it.
Right. Consult with your agent before doing a lot of upgrades. Call Josh. Let him walk you through it. Whether, and that, I think that's one of the things that we can do as real estate agents. Is we can help homeowners walk through and say, okay, look, if you'll spend $5,000 in new floors, that could potentially increase your value by $10,000, so you're going to double your money.
Yeah.
Whereas, what are some expenses that people put into a home that don't add value that commonly people think do add value?
Things that typically are going to be expected there or necessary for the home, like a new roof or a working water heater, things like that. Yeah, you might spend a couple $1,000 on those things or more and hope that you're going to get that back, but really you're not going to get that back. Homeowners are going to expect that to be, not going to buy a house that has a cruddy roof or a hot water heater or water heater, I guess you should say.
Yeah.
All
water heaters make them hotter.
Yeah.
That's how everybody says that. Okay, so people expect a water heater to be functioning.
Yeah.
They expect a roof in their house. They expect the HVAC system to be working properly.
Mm-hmm.
So if a homeowner comes to you, Josh, and says, well, we just put $10,000 in to replace the HVAC system, did we just add $10,000 of value to the home? The answer is
no.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
That's just not how that works.
Now, if it's not working, you might lose some money on the sale there because they're going to want that fixed.
Yes.
But having everything fixed and working right, not necessarily going to increase your value, but definitely not going to hurt.
Because people expect the roof to be solid.
Yeah.
And people expect the windows to be working and not cracked.
Yeah.
And people expect, HVAC system, like you just mentioned, to be working. But those are big expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Big expenses. You drop $10,000 in new windows, you probably didn't increase your value $10,000.
Yeah.
Maybe $2,000, but the cost to value added is not the same as if you spent $5,000 in granite. You could have potentially added $8,000 worth of value.
Yeah.
So again, there are some things that do add value and some things that don't. If you get confused, call Josh. Seriously though, that's one of the things that we can help with.
Right. Yeah, because we have the capability to look back at those comps that have sold and say, well, this one had granite and it sold for X amount over this one that still had the old Formica.
Right.
Or this one had old carpet from the 80s compared to this one with new vinyl floors that didn't cost too much to get put in there.
Right.
But it sold for significantly more. That's just one less thing that new homeowner is going to have to do once they get there.
Right. So we can help with that. Okay, switch gears here for just a minute. Let's pretend like you just comped my home. I'm interested in selling my house.
Okay.
You just comped it. And we're looking at anywhere from 165 to 175, depending on what my urgency is. If I need to sell quick or if I want to try to get the highest price possible. Agent Jane from XYZ Realty came in and said, no, this is a $190,000 house. And I come back to you, Josh, and I say, well, so-and-so over here said they can sell it for $15,000 more. How do you respond to that?
Yeah. Say, prove it.
No.
Where?
Prove it.
Prove it. Where are the comps that she looked at? How did they get to that number saying, $15,000 more? That's a pretty significant number.
Right.
Especially in that 165, 175 price range. So maybe they're just trying to buy the listing.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they know something. I don't know. But if I'm showing you the numbers here, the numbers don't lie. We're probably looking at the same thing. I'd like to see what they're looking at that makes them think that.
And Josh brings up an interesting point, and there's something that we call in real estate buying the listing, where a realtor will come in and say, oh, yeah, we can sell it for more, knowing that they can't. And they just want to get their sign in the yard because then they know they're going to spend the next 3 months trying to convince you that you need to reduce your price. That's not good for you.
That's frustrating for everybody.
It's frustrating for everybody. It's frustrating for buyers who would actually like to purchase your home, but their buyer's agent does a good job, comps your house and sees that it's overpriced. And then they'll probably put in an offer in the 170 range, which is what your home is worth. But, you're in your mind, it's 190. And so, well, gosh, that's $20,000 too short, blah, 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 blah.
Or they just bypass the house and say, that's way overpriced. I don't want to offend them by giving them a realistic offer. They'll go find something else that's priced close.
West Texas, people don't like to offend each other out here.
Yeah.
And that happens. I mean, that legitimately happens. And then what ultimately winds up occurring is that 6 months down the road, you're so ticked off and desperate to sell your home, you wind up selling it for 160 when it could have sold for 170, 175 if you had just priced it correctly to begin with.
Yeah. After some point, it's sitting there on the market for so long, people start thinking, what's wrong with that house?
Yeah.
Why is it still sitting here?
Perception's reality.
Now, as an agent, we know we can look back and see, well, they started out $15,000, $20,000 overpriced. That's why it's still sitting there. But from a buyer's mind, there's got to be something wrong with it.
Something's wrong. Yeah, that foundation's cracked or there's something major wrong with that thing. Okay, so moral of that story is if an agent comes in and says, if you talk to two realtors and you have two completely different prices, you need to make sure that both agents are showing you numbers.
Yeah.
Show me the comps. Yes. Yep. Prove it. Okay, let's talk tax appraisals.
Oh, boy.
Because this is an interesting topic. A lot of times people will pull up the tax roll.
Yeah.
And they'll see something completely different than what they have in their mind.
Well, and on there it says market value. If I remember right, it shows up as what the tax appraisal calls market value.
Right.
That is not true.
So explain that.
Well, so the county is coming up with their best guess at what they think market value is and what your home is worth. In most cases, fortunately for the homeowner, that number is a lot lower than what is actual market value.
Sometimes,
not always. I've seen both, but that's their best guess at what it is, and that's the number that you're paying taxes on. So, I mean, you want that number as low as possible,
right?
If you don't like paying taxes.
And this is important for buyers too to understand that if something is priced at $225 on the market, and you pull up the tax roll and it says $195. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay taxes on $225. And Texas is what's known as a non-disclosure state, which means the tax office can't track down and find out what you bought your home for. That keeps the taxes from just jacking way up, which is another reason why the state of Texas is the greatest state in the union. But Texas is non-disclosure, so they can't find out, which means market value and tax appraised value typically are two very different things.
Yeah.
So I always just tell people, look, your tax appraised value literally means absolutely nothing when it comes to market value.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that it is, right there where it should. Market value is what the tax appraisal says.
Yeah.
I've run into that several times.
But it's not.
It's not.
They have no correlation whatsoever.
No.
Okay, last question. Does how a home, use good grammar here, does the marketing of a home affect the price?
Absolutely.
How?
Well, if you have no marketing, you're probably going to get a lower price. You have maybe a discounted company that's not going to work as hard to have buyers come through your home. Not going to put it out there other than I'll throw it up on the MLS and I'll put my sign in the yard and hope that somebody sees it. That's not very good marketing. Increased marketing, good marketing, is going to drive the number of people that are seeing your home. The more people that can see it, the more exposure it gets. It's going to generate more competition for that home and, drive up the price. Maybe not $10,000, $15,000 like Agent Jane over there said, but, a couple $1,000 here or there is going to make a little bit of a difference or more.
So the average list to sales price ratio for companies, real estate companies in Lubbock, is 94%. So a $200,000 home, a home that's marketed at $200,000, the average real estate company will wind up selling it for $188,000 if I'm doing my math correctly.
Yeah, I would just say $100,000 home. That's easy math.
That is easier math. Okay.
It's going to sell for $94,000.
But we're going to see how impressive my math skills are here. So we're going to stick with the $200,000 house. So the average real estate company in Lubbock sells a $200,000 home for $188,000.
Yeah.
Our Blu Realty's list to sales price ratio is 97.5%. So that means that we'll sell the $200,000 home for $195,000. Is that good math? Is that correct? I actually think that's spot on.
I don't know.
I think that's spot on. In the $100,000 home, we'll sell it for $97,500, where the average real estate company will sell it for $94,000. The $200,000 home, the average real estate company sells it for $188,000. We'll sell it for $195,000. The marketing matters.
Yeah, $6,000.
As a huge difference, an astronomical difference. That I think a lot of times people will get caught up in a discounted commission, or discounted commission. And quite frankly, our marketing is incredibly unique, and it's proving that the marketing can help drive a high sales price. I mean, you see it in bad picture quality.
Oh yeah,
a gorgeous home with bad pictures.
Yeah, I mean, a buyer is going to see bad pictures and automatically be turned off within 15, 20 seconds of looking at them. I don't want to go see that house. Yeah. It looks terrible.
And even if they do, they'll have a bad perception of it walking
they
up.
walk in and say, oh, well, this looked bad in the pictures.
Right.
This looked bad. I don't know about this.
And there's so many things beyond the marketing just besides the pictures, but that's just the first thing that pops up. And that's not what this podcast is about today.
Yeah, that's a whole
other topic right there. Okay, that's it. We're out. We're out of time. Josh, thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
If you could wrap all of this up in one quick sentence, pricing a home, what would you say?
Make sure it's priced right, right in that range, what you're looking for, depending on your motivation, and get it sold.
And hire Blu.
It's
okay. We can market ourselves here. This is our own podcast.
Okay.
So call Josh. Holla at him. Good stuff. Episode 3, pricing a home. Price it right. Price it correct. Get good marketing. Let us help you drive a high sales price and get the most that we can for your home in a reasonable amount of time. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you on episode 4. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks.
You nearly said thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.